Good morning, Quirky Birders. It's Lynn here, and time for episode 1 of your daily art challenge. So this week we're going to be painting just a charming little painting of a moon gazing hare. So yesterday I provided you with the line drawings and also the template if you wanted to use the template for the little hare. So I provided you with that as a little printout. And today we're going to start the painting process. Now I thought what would be a good idea is if we actually worked with some masking fluid. Now I know some of you have got masking fluid, and if you haven't, please don't worry, it really doesn't matter, but I just thought on this image I can show you the benefits of masking fluid, and it's just something that you may want to have a look to purchase and actually have in your paint box. So I just use this Frisk Artist's Blue masking fluid, and basically it just is in a little pot, and it is actually like a little it's like a glue, it just sits like that, and it is actually like a silicone, it's like a gel. Now if you're going to be using masking fluid, what I suggest that you do is that you actually just use an old paintbrush, and you just put on the masking fluid using your old paintbrush, because it will damage your brushes. So you just need something just old that's just that will be just your masking fluid brush. So all we're going to do is just using the masking fluid, we're just going to paint out the silhouette of our little hare. So I'm just going to paint him out using this masking fluid, so he'll just all be blue. And what happens with the masking fluid is that it then dries and it just protects the area. So we're going to be working quite heavily with different colours all around our little moon gazing hare. So if we can just protect him until he needs painting, then that's absolutely fine. Like I say, if you haven't got masking fluid, then please don't worry. All you would need to do is just be careful with your different colours as you're working closely to your drawn hare. So just take some time to apply that fluid. I'll just do his front leg and his other front leg. Now on this picture you'll also have the opportunity to use some of your metallic paints as well, because we're going to add in that lovely shimmery shadow. So your metallic silvers will be perfect. Okay, so I now have one blue hare, but that blue hare is now protected and I can continue to work on the rest of the painting. So I'll just put my sticky paintbrush out of the way. Now what we're going to do first is we're actually starting at this far corner here. And what we're going to start with is we're just going to put a little bit of white into that moon. So all you need to do is take up some of the white on your brush, and then you're literally just going to paint in that circle. Now we will be adding more shadows. We'll be adding some of the grey, like a Payne's grey. And we'll also be adding metallics as well. So that moon will change. It's just that we've got a nice base colour of that white. My white's quite a creamy white. Like so. And then we need to start to mix some colours. And for the sky, we're going to have a play about with different blues. So we're actually going to be mixing different tones of blue, different shades of blue. You want some nice cool tones in there, nice calming tones. So I've got my my palette. And I'm just going to make a start just using the ultramarine. And then just mix just a little bit of white in there. So you've just got a very, very pale, almost like a Wedgwood blue, like a jasper blue. You can tell I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, can't you? So we'll just use that ultramarine. And then once you're happy with the colour, we are just going to miss one of the rings, because obviously our moon just needs time to dry. And then we'll just paint the next one along. So come down. Just blend that colour right the way through, so you've just got a nice texture. Like so. And then we need to skip one and do one a little bit darker. Now, because we're skipping, it needs to be considerably darker, because we'll then lighten the shade and work in the middle again. So I've got a nice deep blue here. So I've just mixed a nice bit of deep blue, and then I've also just dropped a little bit of white in there as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to miss one again and paint this one. Now you may need to add a little bit of water to the larger area just to get that paint moving. So I'm just going to wet my brush, my very blue brush. Now you don't want the area absolutely saturated, but it will help on the larger areas to have had some water applied. And plus it helps with that lovely definition. You really do get some nice effects then of your sky. So I just need to work with that darker paint because I want it all looking fairly even, but there is some lovely textures going on. So just work with your paint, just have some fun, just have a play. Okay. Now I'm going to miss one again, and this time we're going to put in a nice bit of purple. So we're actually going to work our way through to the sort of violet tones of blue. So I've got a little bit of violet already in my palette that I'm just going to rework, and then I'm just going to drop a little bit of the ultramarine blue in. And you can add a little bit of Payne's grey as well, or the battleship grey would also work. And you just want that lovely sort of purpley tone. So same thing applies. I'm just going to apply a little bit of water just to help with that paint because we're working on quite a large area. Now if you've used the masking fluid, you can come right up to your little hare. You just need to make sure that it's dry. When it's dry, it is still a little bit sticky, so it will feel sticky, but as long as it's dry, you can come right the way up using that water. And then we can apply that purple. And then just manipulate that ever so slightly. And then we'll repeat the same the other side. So again, just using that water. Just being a bit careful there because we're coming up to that horizon line. So where I've got my little lumpy bumpy lines, for the top of the grass, just need to be a little bit careful. So again, just taking that purple right the way along. And then just spend some time just manipulating that paint. You can lift it off if you feel that it's sitting too heavy. Okay. Now these colours really are changing. When they're drying, they really are changing quite considerably, and it's lovely to see the texture that we're beginning to build. So now our moon is dry, and this first little bit of the paler blue, the jasper blue, we can just work with a nice pale grey around that moon. So all you're going to do is you want to take up a little bit of the Payne's grey. And if you haven't got the Payne's grey, then you can work with the Battleship grey. And you just want to mix up just a nice grey tone to your paint. So something very, very similar to that is perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same and just fill in this shape here. So just being careful around the moon. Now we will be building the colours with this. We'll be doing some glazing work, and we'll also, like I said to you, be using some of the metallics as well. So just using this lovely pale grey. And then I'm just going back over that pencil line and just softening off, almost like it was quite a perfect line, wasn't it? Because we used the tape, the inside of the tape as a template. So I'm just softening that off so it looks less perfect. Okay, so now we need to work on our second empty space. And this time we need a shade a little bit between these two here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drop in a little bit of azure blue that's in this palette, and I'm just going to drop that into that lovely pale grey. You can add the tiniest bit of yellow if you wanted to, and I mean tiniest, and that just makes it change yet again. So we'll just mix a little bit more because it's quite an area that we need to cover. And doing a painting like this will get you used to your different paints and mixing and different tones. It really is quite good fun. Okay, so I've got a nice colour that I'm quite happy with there. And then again, I'm just going to wet my paper. Just being very careful that it's not bleeding into any of the other colours. Okay, and then we can just add in our paint mixed. And then just spend that time just manipulating that paint. Just moving it around. Quite a bit of pooling water there, so I'm just going to dry the brush off and lift some of that away. There we go. Lovely. Okay. And then here we need a colour between the blue and this violet. But for that one, I'm actually going to go really quite dark. So you know the lovely midnight blue, the really rich dark skies that you get. We want to achieve something like that. So it's a real sort of inky, bluey, black colour. So we'll mix a little bit of the ultramarine colour with some of the Payne's grey. And again, we want quite a bit because we've got quite an area to cover. We'll drop in just a little bit of the violet. And you just want something like that. Okay. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wet my paper. I'm not doing very well at all in cleaning my brushes today. So I'm just going to wet all of that larger area. It's a lovely way to do the sky when we're doing a design like this, when you've got these lovely colours and you can build in the different textures as well. It really is quite a nice thing to do. And it also puts a bit of a modern twist on the Moon Gazing Hare. Okay, so we've now added all of the colour, the water, so we can just now add in the colour. Lovely, lovely blue, dark blue. And you just need to take some time just to manipulate that colour. Okay. Now I've got quite a bit of water down here, so I'm just going to dry my brush off and lift that off. And then just work that paint just so you've got a nice finish. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. I'm not entirely happy with it, but I think we can certainly rectify it with a little bit of glazing once it's dry. Okay. Right, we'll leave that as it is and just let that dry, and then we can maybe reduce some of those textures with a little bit of glazing. And then the last colour that we need to do is we just need to do something over here. So for that I'm going to go a little bit lighter. So I've got that lovely dark colour that I've just mixed, and then the little blue I'm actually going to mix into that violet just to bring that back a little bit. And then I'm not going to apply any water this time. And we'll just work directly onto the paper. Just being careful of those wibbly wobbly lines where the grass is going to be. Like so. And then we'll just do the same just on this little bit here. Put them little bumpy lines in of the grass. And there we go. So let me just define that edge there. Lovely. Okay. Now, that's it for today. We now need to let that dry, and then we'll be working on the sky again, just using some different glazing and some different adding some more textures. So we need to let that dry and we'll come back to it. But tomorrow we're going to be working on the foreground and just putting that lovely green grass in, and the sandy bank that our little hare is sat upon. So take your time, have some fun, and do enjoy painting this picture, and I shall be back again with you for the next instalment tomorrow. Take care now. Bye bye.